So we're gonna do the main structure now. And you can see we've got steel, 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 wood. We got some wood purlins and then a metal roof. So we're gonna tweak this a little. Like you can see, this kind of sits right on top. We're gonna make our life a little easier and just make this whole piece steel rather than try and do a mashup here. And then for the interior stuff, even though it's all like this, we're going to try and have a little more energy efficiency and use one of the roofs from before. So it gets funky. And if I come over to Revit, you'll see I've once again pulled a switcheroo on the elevations because this one shows even more. You can use it or not. The video is going to be here as long as you have a section here that's not a section perspective, you're going to be fine. But what I like about this one is, it gives me some good levels. It actually gives me heights. I'm not using those because our image scaled differently, but they've got the window header. So I've got that. I've matched pretty much everything up. I got my rafter tails, and then I've got my main beam, which they called it their spine beam, and then my ridge beam, which looks a little off, but we're going to use that as the peak here, and it'll make sense. And you can see we've got a metal plate here with fasteners connecting these, and then this, you're like, how does that work? It's just floating in the middle of the air. What's holding it up? So that is what these collar ties, part of what they're doing, is they're keeping it from bowing out, but they're also structurally supporting this without having to put a beam or column in the middle. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and put in this guy. So I'm going to go to my ridge beam level. I'm going to go to beam. And I want to switch to my 16 by 26 because the 12 by 26, if we did that and had one meet at an angle, it just wouldn't be long enough. So I'm going to come from here to here. Ignore that message. I'm going to check and see. Okay, so that's kind of where I want it. I'm going to end up moving it down a bit to match this picture once everything else is there. But I don't know what that depth is going to be until I get my other ones in. So for now, I'm going to highlight it. Since it's already the right length, I'm going to copy it from what for me is grid E to grid B. Alright, so now's where we need to create this bit. So I want to use this where the rafter tails sit as my drawing level. And then I want it to come up here. So I need to know the difference between those levels. I'm going to take a dimension. And so in mine, and yours is going to be different because every scaled theirs differently, but mine is 16 feet 5 5/8 inches. So now I can come into, what did I call this, rafter tails? Come into my rafter tails level, and you're going to have to make all these levels. I did that off camera, but we've done it enough. And you'll be fine. The main thing is that if we look at this, we're about 2 foot difference between our top of our curtain wall and our rafter tails. And then your beams will be based on your picture as close as you can. Same thing here. This is going to be the bottom of the peak of your roof, essentially. And so once you get those levels in there, name them how you want to name them, you can get this working. So I'm going to draw in my rafter tails. I'm going to come back into Beam from Structure tab. And now I want to go back to the 12 by 16s. I'm going to start out here because they do go all the way in the overhang. And so now I want to come, this is the edge, this is my ridge. So I just want to come here for now. And again, we're going to keep getting this message, that's fine. Now I'm going to come to my east. And you can see right now, I kind of have the wrong orientation. Right now it's the top. I want to switch that to bottom. Click apply. And now this is in the right place. Now I just need to raise this end up by 16 feet, 5 5/8. So I'm going to click here. 16 feet, 5. We got to put the space in. 5/8 of an inch. That is not 16 feet, that's 3 feet. All right. And now if I zoom out, theoretically, yep. And so I'm pretty much following the angle of the picture. It's not going to be perfect. That's okay. And now I want to drag this. Well, first I'll just mirror it, and we'll see if I have to drag it. Or, yeah, actually, if I drag this, theoretically what's going to happen when I mirror this is it's going to self-miter. So let's try that. I'm going to say mirror pick axis, and we're going to use this grid. And yeah, it did. So we didn't have to miter this time around. Revit was smart enough to do that for us. Down here though, we're going to have to bring this down a bit. And we're going to have to come into, let's try and do just a cope and see if that works. Yeah, okay. Connection failed, that's fine. We're going to do it a different way. I'm going to undo the cope. And what we'll do, and we'll wait till we're done, is we're going to make a reference plane here and here, and we're just going to trim them all using a reference plane. But I have learned the hard way that if I do that here and copy, it disappears, so I might as well just save it and do it all at once. So now I can highlight both of these, but first I need a midpoint here because I want to use mirror again. So I'm going to go to architecture, model line. If it asks you for a plane, I'm looking at letters, so I just need a number. I'm going to draw a line between these two to start. And now I'm going to draw from that midpoint. I can grab both of these. I can say mirror pick axis. Alright, and now they both go where they need to go. And like I said, we're going to cheat a little and not worry about the wood interacting with this. We're just going to skip. And all the steel ones are going to go on our grids. And then the wood ones are going to go in between. So I'll come to my 3D. No, that's not what I wanted. So I've got those highlighted already. I'm going to add, making sure I hold control. I have all 4 hopefully, and I'll double check. Filter, yep, I've got 4. Now I can copy. I'm going to be doing a lot of copies. So for now, I'm just going to do the first one. I'm going to wait until our wood is in here. And so in between these two, we have 8 wood beams. Then to make life easy, I'm going to draw some model lines, just like before. It doesn't really matter where, I just need 8 of them in between these. I'm going to come, I guess, from here. I'll do 1, and I'll just copy it. Alright, so that's 8. And now I'm going to use our align dimensions to make these equally spaced. So remember, if you ever miss one of these, you just have to start over, because it's not going to work. You can't just go and start again. You won't get it actually equal. Alright. Click OK. And so now I can come in. I'm going to draw another beam. I'm going to go to Structure, Beam. I'm going to look for this glulam. And I don't think this made it to the template, so I'll have to put it on canvas. And so we're going to switch this level again. We're going to go to Rafter Tails, Beam, Glulam Southern Pine, from here up to here. And if I remembered that dimension, I could have done it from the top view, but I don't. So I'm going to switch this to bottom Z justification. And I'm going to give myself 16 feet, 5 5/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mirror, pick axis. And now it's coming all the way here. I don't actually want that this time. I'm going to bring it back around here because the only ones that connect are the steels. The wood ones stop here. And I think we're going to need another reference plane here, so we're going to have a whole bunch of clicking we're going to do later. I'm going to come back into my 3D. I'm going to pick both by holding Control. And now I'm going to say mirror pick axis. I'm going to use, let me come in here. I'm going to use this midpoint. Did that automatically? No. So we're going to have to use a reference line there. Alright, so now we just want to copy these. And again, because the reference line miter doesn't copy, I'm going to save that for later. Looks like it's a... No, that's not coping either. So we'll have a little bit of cleanup. Let's see if the coping will copy first. I remember we had some issues last semester. So I'm going to click here and here. I'm going to say cope. It's hard to tell from this view, but it looks like it actually did cope. So I'm going to do it again here. I'm going to hold Control, I'm going to say cope. And now I'm going to try copying these just to see what happens. I'm going to copy all of them even though these aren't coped yet. Come up here, say copy. All right, that's all of them. And so we're going to test and see if these copes stayed. Does not appear so. But I'm also not sold that it actually coped. So we'll figure it out when we get to the section cut, but it won't be worth doing that. So now you're just copying everything, right? So you need to start, this one's going to stay. You're going to highlight all of these, and then you're going to copy all the way down. So I'll show the first one just for fun. And again, I'm going to make sure I'm only picking these bits because I don't want any of our verticals to copy. Those are already where we need them. And because they're all of a shared category, I can't use the filter function to just randomly grab everything and filter it out. All right, so that's everything except for this one. And now I'm going to copy. So I would start on this grid and come here. And now I've got all the wood ones populating and then the last steel. I would just keep going until those are all populated. So I'll stop this one here and we'll pick up with some purlins on the next video. Actually, before we get to the purlins, I'm gonna do the reference planes in here and just trim a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna have to be careful here though, so I don't accidentally do the steel ones. So I'm gonna make some reference planes. I just want to be on this inside edge here. I'm just gonna call it 1. Then I'm gonna copy it. Oh, come on. Alright, I might have to get creative here. Filter out everything that's not a reference plane. Now I can copy it. From that edge, making sure I go horizontal to that edge. I suppose I should have just dragged that down to make it easier to see. Well, I might have shot myself in the foot with finding it easily. That's all right. I'll make it work anyway. Here we go. I'm just going to use tab until I get it. All right, I'm going to say cut I'm going to say multiple cut. I'm going to click here, then the reference plane, and then I'm just going to there we go. That's all of those. Same thing over here. I'm going to say cut. I have to say cut a second time, otherwise it still thinks we're on the other side. I'm going to click here, reference plane, and get click copy. Should be 17 of those. And this one's the funkier one. So I have a couple options. I could temporarily hide all those steel ones. Otherwise I have to come in and try and play around from 3D. So I think it's probably easier to hide the steel ones. The process is the same. But I would come in, make a reference plane. This time I'm going to actually make it visible. I'll call it 3. And then I'm going to hide this temporarily. And now because I know those don't extend, I can just do a right drag. And I can hold control and do another right drag. Oh. Ah, that's the problem. I think some of the wood copies went further. Nope. They sure didn't. Let me try that again. Alright, so that's only the metal ones. Only the metal ones. Filter and make sure there we go. Now I can still see these. I can say modify, cut, make sure multiple's on. I'm going to start with this side. I'm going to click here. And now these, remember there's 8 in each one, so it's a lot more clicks. This is a super exciting video. So you get the point when you're done here. Yeah, because this is 8 times 17. It's a lot of clicks. Alright, so you do the exact same thing on the other side. Now we'll stop with this. We'll deal with purlins afterwards.